Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you another feature match for this week. This time I'm sitting down with my buddy Paul Reisman. We played Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kaijudo together. He's finally decided to get into this game, so I wanted to get him on the channel. He is playing a Dracula Regalia list that was developed by Kevin Bates, a good friend of mine from the community, and I am playing it's another combo deck, but this is a pretty interesting one. I call it 8-act combo. It's developed by my friend Gabe. It uses Scheherazade and all the new kind of elements that we have purely to bring out. The only kill condition is Yamada, but it pulls it out in some really wacky ways and really makes use of it very, very effectively. So very, very interesting. It also has 10 completely different magic stones, which is very, very unique. But again, it's a combo deck, so it's going to do some of the same things you've seen before, but it is surprisingly effective even with 10 random stones. So looking forward to showing you off this deck. So Paul got a 9. I think I only got a 6, so Paul will be going first. So we're going to do our mulligans. I'm trying to mulligan for draw stuff, for root eggs, as well as obviously Shakespeare's. And he's trying to mulligan to get low cost removal and vampires. Because the way that deck operates is it tries to get out Dracula literally as fast as possible and then just beat its opponent in the face with Dracula and 1-drop spells like Duel of Truth. So automatically, you see there, we have that first turn Levitine ready to go for Drac. And I, alas, don't have a first turn play. Well, I do, but at the same time, I know that Dracula is right there, and he's gonna have 1 stone up. So if he has if I put out something that's too weak, and he has like a thunder or something like that, I'm just feeding him a free Dracula, which is gonna be something that's very hard for me to keep up with that early. So I bide my time, and instead I put out that Realm of Pure Spirits. This puts me in even this one card by itself puts me in a solid position for the rest of the game, because it means that as long as I keep my stuff untargeted or untapped, recovered, he can't target it, meaning that it will be nearly impossible for him to J-activate. So now I can start putting stuff on the board without any fear of losing it. So I'm able to put out my draw engine, and I can use that draw engine. So yeah, like I said, completely protected. So can't target it. Keeps me safe from those little 1-drop thunders. I knew they were there, so I'd rather take some early damage from his mini vampires than fuel him to get his big vampire out and just start wrecking me before my combo is set up. So I did make a misplay here. If I'm going with that same kind of strategy, I did play the Rook. I should have just been patient and not tapped the Gwen. Like, I should have just waited for next turn to get that search out, because now that Gwen is in play. However, in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm so close to the combo anyway that even if he gets Drac, I'm not terribly concerned. So there's that first Shakespeare. So what Shakespeare does is I reveal the top card of my Magic Stone deck, and as long as I don't have a Magic Stone of the same name, I get it. Put into my Mana Stone area. So with 10 different Magic Stones, there's no way that Shakespeare's not going to hit. So like I said, we move over to Paul. He thunders because I left it open. Then he untaps everything. So now he's at a really interesting position because even though he's not going to be able to do things like Duel of Truth and stuff like that, he still has a flying 1k Dracula with swiftness. and has those spells for when I do decide to make stuff happen. So he decides to bump up his Dracula and then swing in. So that's a free 1200 damage that I can't stop. Puts me down to 22. And like I said, he's got a pretty good bank. You see in his hand, he's got like 2 Duels of Truth, a Thunder, a Stoning to Death, or at least a Flames of Outer World. So he's got a lot of answers to things, which is good. So as soon as I do decide to tap, I could be in trouble. Just have to see what happens. So I've got at least 1 combo piece in the grave. I've got another Yamada in my hand. Right now I'm thinking about whether or not a J activation would be okay, but I already tapped, so never mind. I paid 200 life there to put out a Book of Ivon, which let me grab back the Yamada. So now I have Yamada up. Play a Rapunzel so that next turn I can potentially give my Yamada flying. I am at 2,000 life, not 21. I just mistapped the tracker in real life. So no one's, I mean, it's now that he has the target attack as well, again with all those spells, he can do a lot of work. Because, you know, he is flying, so he can put in quite a bit of work there. So I didn't think about that, and now my Rapunzel is on his side of things. Again, puts me in a pretty big bind. Or shuts down my combo. I'm not really playing optimally at this point. It's like I've got Yamada now. I gotta try and kill, which can be kind of hard to do. But you see, I draw that Gwen. And I have another Genesis creation, so I'm feeling much better about it at this point. So I put that Leaves of Yggdrasil on my Yamada, and I crash into the Rapunzel 3 times. And then I crash into his Servant of Vampire, which technically kills Yamada because he's taken 2,000 damage, but then Leaves of Yggdrasil triggers and brings him right back. So that's one of the interesting things about this deck, is it makes use of Leaves of Yggdrasil and that kind of bouncing thing to keep using Yamada or Shakespeare or stuff like that, Rugag, multiple times. Oh, I technically need to pay life there, so whoopsies on my part. So now I'm going to play that another Shakespeare to do some more ramping. I only have a few stones left. So now I'm feeling pretty secure. I've got a Yamada up. I've got all those kinds of things. I decided to only attack him 7 times for some reason. I don't know why. I don't think to attack 8. But still. I'm feeling pretty secure. I've got a good strong board. I've got 1 combo piece. I've got another Yamada in the grave. You know, I've got those things are ready. So as long as I can survive through 1 more turn, I'm feeling like it's gonna go pretty well in my favor. Simply because of the sheer amount of stuff that I have on my board that's untargetable. So I use, he's going to go attack my Elvish Priest. So I use Guinevere to save my Elvish Priest by banishing it. And he duels of truth with my Guinevere, because my Guinevere is now tapped. So what happens here is, Guinevere dies, he gets the thing, then I draw 2 and discard 1. So now he's got a creature. I honestly probably would have just attacked with the Dracula, and see where it went. Try to get some extra damage in. See if it would be possible to kind of kill. With all those Regalia, it might have been possible to do the 1800 damage that he needed to do, or 18 or 2000 damage. Simply because he has so many. Potentially 5 Regalia taps, and he's there. Which he could have tapped 2 at the beginning, untapped, tapped 2 again, and then tapped 1 more. But again, you don't always see these things when you're in the middle of the game. Because with my flying, there would have been no way for me to, sure I had that on Marius, but it was tapped, so I couldn't do anything. So I search for a field edition. Search for another Book of Ibon with my Speaker of Creation, which is going to go really, really well here in a second. So rather than play my Book of Genesis, I just decided to play the Book of Ibon to grab a Yamada. I don't really need the Book of Genesis anyway. Pay a green with my True Stone. Put it on the wrong Yamada there. I got the 2 mixed up for what I was trying to do. Ultimately, in the end of this turn, it really doesn't matter which one I put it on. But in terms of the combo that I was intending to do, I'll explain here in a second. So what I'm doing is I'm using my Yamada to kill, and he's going to respond to it by sacking it and drawing some cards, which ultimately saves me some attacks. So I've only used 1 attack from 1 Yamada so far, so I've got 15 attacks to go at 200 apiece, so obviously 3000 damage easily, but I wanted to be kind of silly, so I used all the attacks from 1, or most of the attacks from 1, and then got him down to that level. I could still finish him off, but I decided to be silly. I used the Speaker of Creation to pop a Book of Ibon connected to a Yamada to bring it back with the leaves. However, that's bad tracking for my part because I was just popping the wrong ones, but still, either way, it would have ended up game. So that's game 1, going to game 2. So we're in game 2. Clearly, I mean, in game 1, the winner there was very clearly the Realm of Pure Spirits. The deck only runs it as a 1-of because it is searchable, and I just happened to have it in my opening hand. So we'll see how things go this time around. Again, I know better than to try and play a creature too early. But I'm also thinking he only has a red stone, or a black stone, so potentially I could still survive. However, my hand does not have a single 1-drop in it, so I simply have to pass. Now he's got a red and black, which puts him in a very good position if he has any kind of 1-drop removal next turn. So out comes that Laura. Probably going to search for another Laura. It's pretty typical for vampire players. Helps deck thin really well. Don't have a 2-drop. Gotta pass. Well, I have the Speaker of Creation, but ultimately there's no real point in playing her right now. And weirdly enough, I'm on the game of, well, I have combo pieces. This is the weird thing. For a combo player going up against Drac, if you don't have small drops, you can play the survive till my hand gets too big game and force a discard from your hand by having too many cards and then play your cards next turn. So it's a very interesting technique, kind of a comeback idea really, but doesn't always work all the time. I'm just having to do that right now. So we saw Paul play another Laura. He's trying to put damage on me. He's got that stone up still. I have to commit a creature to the board, otherwise I'm in trouble. So go ahead and play the Speaker. Grab that Realm of Pure Spirits, thinking hopefully I can allow it allows me to survive for a little while. And I completely realized that I forgot to tap for a stone. So I'm already pretty much staring down the fact that I know that this game is not going to go in my favor. So not really paying attention, honestly, which isn't really good etiquette as a player. But I mean, at this point, there's really no way that I can come back, even if I bring back a Yamada. Because all of those Lauras are going to take at least 2 hits from a Yamada, and I have no way of discarding that Yamada to the grave except for just taking all that damage. And there's a Dracula with target attack on the field. Like, there's really honestly no way that I'm going to be able to recoup from this regardless of what I do. So again, pass the turn, forgetting to tap for a stone because I'm dumb. Thankfully, Paul is kind, points it out to me, and lets me go and tap it out. Because at least next turn I can do something. Hey, look, another Laura. Yeah, again, it's pretty much the most I'm going to be able to do here is play Genesis Creation and put a Yamada on board and, attack him. But it's really not going to do much because I'm about to take damage from all of these vampires that he's just flooding the field with. I know what you're thinking, what if I just hadn't played the Speaker of Creation? Would I still be okay? I mean, yeah, he wouldn't have the Dracula, but at the same time, like, I'd still be taking damage from all these Lauras that's literally I can't stop. So, as I said, yay, Book of Genesis Creation, I get the Yamada out, swing at his face a few times, and then I just say I scoop, because there's really nothing else I was going to be able to do. He's just going to kill me next turn. So we're going to go ahead and go to game 3. So we're in game 3. Hopefully this time my hand is a little bit better for keeping those smaller drops. That's the weird thing about this deck is my combo deck needs low drops. in order to be able to function and pull off the combo. But the Dracula deck thrives on his opponents having 1-drops because it means that it doesn't have to push itself too hard for creatures, or for Dracula. It's one of the reasons why, Dracula has sometimes a really bad matchup against like decks like Faria that rely purely on their J Ruler to get their damage in, because that other player can just say, well, I'm just not gonna put any other creatures on board and just bash you with spells and my J Ruler. It can be a hard matchup sometimes. So he plays the Thunder on my Shakespeare. Honestly, I probably would have done it on the Elvish Priest. The problem here being that he doesn't have a 1-drop vampire. If he had played the Thunder after his draw, before the untap, he might have recognized that and been like, well, I can just wait. But only now can he get the vampire out, which, however, he's already tapped Dracula, so there's no way for him to J-activate this turn. So my Elvish Priest lives another day. Dracula isn't out. I'm able to be at 5 will now, which is great. Another Shakespeare comes out to help me ramp even more. Play a Gwen and a Rook Egg. So now I have some discard and search potential. Again, more combo pieces falling into place. The beauty of Rook Egg and Guinevere being that I can search for Yamada and then discard it with Gwen. Almost just means draw 2 cards and put your combo piece in the grave. So again, here's a play that you'll see he recognizes it almost immediately, that he should have just used Flames of Outer World on the Gwen, because Flames of Outer World can't be countered. But he does use it on the Shakespeare. So now, but he is able to get the Dracula out, which is good for him, but I've still got that ability to just make a play happen. So he attacks my Gwen with his target attack. I decide to try to get the search. However, I realized that Rook Egg needs to go first, so I put those 2 cards back on top of the deck. Somebody give me a judge warning for looking at extra cards. Search for a Gwen, because I actually want to keep things moving. I believe I had a Yamada in my hand at this time, so it wasn't super important for me to grab another Yamada. Yeah, I had a Yamada in hand, so I'd rather keep being able to discard cards to set up the combo. So I let him have my Gwen. He passes the turn to me. So this is an interesting position for me to be in. Sure, I have time. I have lots of will to be able to, and lots of stones to be able to make combos happen. But at the same time, Paul has a decently established board. So I've got to balance that and find out exactly what the right way to set up the most powerful combo possible is. So play that Shakespeare. Play a Tsukiyomi the Moon City. And then I play a Gwen onto the field. I have another Yamada in my hand, I believe, at this point. Tsukiyomi the Moon City is primarily used to give Yamada another way to give Yamada flying if you don't have Almerius. does Duel of Truth again with my Shakespeare. I really don't understand why he's hitting the Shakespeares as much. The Gwen is definitely much more dangerous, but I am able to draw, and I have Yamada in there. And I actually drew into a Book of Ibon, so you see me discard the Book of Ibon, but I have that Yamada in my hand, so I need one more discard to really make the combo, pop. But I'm in a bad position because Dracula's still up and he's got flying. So that Gwen is going to be in danger. So you see him attack my Gwen with that Dracula, but what I do is I use Tsukiyomi to give my Elvish Priest flying and block his Dracula with my Elvish Priest, allowing me to keep my Guinevere on board. However, what he could do is he could still attack it with the Laura and his Guinevere, but he decides not to for some reason. So he decided to attack me personally with it, which again I thought was interesting because he could have technically killed the Guinevere, and if he had noticed that, would have been in pretty bad I still would have been able to pull off the combo, but it wouldn't have been nearly as effective. Is what I'm about to do. So this is like the culmination of all the potential for this deck. So I use Guinevere to banish herself to draw 2 and discard because I want to put that second Yamada into the grave. That little red, the Pure Stone, has been called red. So it is red, able to pump up a red resonator like Yamada. So I'm deciding what will I want to use to play my Genesis creation. So what happens with this is I grab Yamada, and I grab Book of Ibon, and Book of Ibon grabs Yamada. So for 4 will, I just pulled out 2 Yamada no Orochi, which is 3,200 damage typically, so typically wouldn't be lethal, because he's at 4,000. However, I've got that little red, the Pure Stone, to pump one up. So I put leaves on and pump up that Yamada, as well as play a Gwen, so that I'd be able to bring it back. So now that Yamada is a 400, 2,200 for the turn, and he's got 8 attacks. So Paul's just gonna take all of them, which is why you see me his life not going down on the tracker or on the overlay, because I'm just seeing what the overall damage is. So he takes all 8 hits from that Yamada, goes back to the 8 hits of the other one. So 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, blocks it, doesn't die, technically has 4 hits, blocks that one, but then the other 4 hits I can just use to finish off the game. And so that is the final piece, the final way the combo can work with Book of Genesis, or Genesis Creation, and Book of Ibon. Very, very powerful swing. So there you have it, guys. That is 8-act combo versus Dracula Regalia. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the matchup. Deck profiles will be up this Saturday. Let me know what you thought. And until next time, this is TMO73 signing off.